From Philharmonic Hall in Lincoln Center, home of the world's greatest musical events, another program of New York Philharmonic Young People's Concerts, under the musical direction of Leonard Bernstein. And here is Leonard Bernstein.
Hello, my dear young friends. This program is going to be a kind of celebration, and I think you deserve one, because after all, this will be the final concert of our 10th season, and it's been a hard-working season, harder than most. So to conclude this anniversary season, we're going to relax and celebrate by bringing back for you three of our most brilliant alumni, young American performers who made their first nationwide appearances on this program and who have since gone on to become world-famous artists. They are, by name, Stephen Cates, Veronica Tyler, and Andre Watts. And we welcome them back in triumph as heroes because they have covered themselves with honor and have added glory to their country's name. Now to bring on our first hero, Stephen Cates. Way back in 1963, one of our distinguished viola players here in the Philharmonic, Mr. David Cates, informed me that he had a 20-year-old son named Stephen who could play the cello, and might he audition for our young people's concerts. Naturally, we said yes. How can you refuse a member of your own orchestra? Then came the audition, and we all sat bolt upright in amazement as this serious young fellow with a cello poured out a stream of beauty worthy of someone twice his age. And so he did play with us on December 23rd, 1963, a difficult rhapsody by Bartók, as well as the cello solo in the William Tell Overture. I don't know if you heard that program, but anyone who did will never forget young Stephen Cates. Now he's almost 24 years old and has gone out and wowed them all over the world. But his top triumph was, of all places, in Moscow last year, where he represented his country in the Tchaikovsky International Competition. There were 45 cellists from all over the world competing in this famous contest, and Stephen came out with second prize and a silver medal, an incredible victory for one so young. Furthermore, as a winner in this competition, Stephen was then invited to play at the White House, a command performance. Quite a height to reach at the age of 23. Well, Stephen Cates is back with us today for this alumni celebration, and he's going to play the very same work that won him such acclaim in Moscow last year, the so-called Rococo Variations by Tchaikovsky. The formal title of this composition is Variations on a Rococo Theme. I'm sure you all know what variations are, and I'm sure you all know what a theme is, but as for Rococo, it's a word that refers both to music and to architecture. And in both cases, it carries with it the meaning of 18th century elegance and ornamental charm. Tchaikovsky has fashioned very elaborate and difficult variations on his elegant theme, and anyone who can play them is a real cellist. Mr. Cates can play them, and how, as he showed them in Moscow and as he will show us now. We are delighted to welcome back Stephen Cates. We now move on from the cello to the human voice, which isn't really such a big switch as it seems to be, because no matter how many fireworks the cello can produce, as you've just heard, how many swooping scales and runs and flashy effects, the main business of the cello is to sing, which is in fact the main business of any instrument, whether it's a string instrument, a woodwind, or a brass. An instrument must produce its notes like the syllable of a song, shaping them and breathing them into sung phrases. So we might say that the human voice is the basic model for all other instruments. Not, of course, any human voice. I, for instance, could breathe out the greatest series of sung phrases and you don't want to run out of the hall. The voice has to have a beautiful sound to begin with. And that's exactly what impressed us so strongly back in 1961 when we first heard Veronica Tyler sing. The sheer beauty of her voice, to say nothing of her wonderful breath control, her sense of phrasing, and her ability to sustain a melody through a long, smooth curve. Now, she first sang with us on March 19th, 1961, arias by Puccini and Menotti, and we were so delighted with her that we invited her back in 1964 when she sang an aria from Carmen. And now here she is again, this time a triumphant winner in that same Tchaikovsky competition last year in Moscow. And like Stephen Cates, she too has been invited to mark that triumph by a command performance in the White House. But there's much more to Miss Tyler's vocal gift than just a lovely sound. There is real variety. You see, most operatic voices are pegged to one kind of sound and therefore to one kind of operatic character. For instance, a soprano who can sing the shy, tender melodies of Mimi in La Bohème is not likely to be any good at the role of Serena in Gershwin's opera Porgy and Bess, which is a role with a whole other sound, the rich throb and the blazing high notes of the American Negro voice. But Veronica Tyler can sing both, and she's going to do both for us today. First, Mimi's famous aria, Mi chiamano Mimi, which of course means my name is Mimi, from the first act of Puccini's marvelous opera, and then from Porgy and Bess, the aria, My Man's Gone Now. Welcome back, Veronica Tyler.
Mi che la vien fuori d'ora a importunare.
In welcoming Andre Watts back to this reunion, I feel something like the old man of the mountain. Andre was 16 when he first appeared with us, and although he is now only 20, it seems to me that many more than 4 years have gone by. It's hard to imagine the world of music without Andre Watts. What were we all doing before he came along on that unforgettable day and made us all stand up and cheer? I wonder how many of you were privileged enough to be listening that day. Can you recall the thrilling sensation of being present at the debut of a great artist? It's an extraordinary feeling. Somehow, you know, after only a few bars of music, even only a phrase, that you're in the presence of royalty, of a musical prince, and that you're living through a historic moment. That moment occurred on the 15th of January, 1963, when Andre played with us the Liszt Piano Concerto in E-flat. But whether you were listening or not at that time, you are all cordially invited to celebrate with us again today as he plays the first movement of Brahms' Second Piano Concerto in B-flat major. You know, it's not easy to be Andre Watts. Life is full of problems. You find yourself an international star at 20 before you've even finished your schooling. You have to be careful not to accept all the engagements that come flooding in and not to spend those precious youthful years playing in public when you should be spending them in concentrated study. And it all becomes even more complicated when you're a sensitive intellectual type who wants to read everything, learn new languages, and write music as well. But somehow I'm not worried about Andre. His greatness will guide him, and he will find his own right way of living his life and making his full contribution to the world of music. Meanwhile, he is honoring us today by returning to the scene of his debut here, and we welcome him with love and with pride.
From Philharmonic Hall in Lincoln Center, the season's fourth New York Philharmonic Young People's Concert, under the musical direction of Leonard Bernstein, has presented Alumni Reunion. Stephen Cates, cellist, performed the variations on a Rococo theme by Tchaikovsky. Veronica Tyler, soprano, sang arias from La Bohème by Puccini and Porgy and Bess by Gershwin, and Andre Watts was the soloist in the second piano concerto in D-flat by Brahms. Earlier programs in the 10th consecutive season of this award-winning series have presented What is a Mode?, Young Performers, and Charles Ives, American Pioneer. This program was recorded in Philharmonic Hall and was produced and directed by Roger Englander.